Dale Carnegie Train voted Best of Roanoke by Roanoke Magazine and the Roanoke Times, writer for the Valley Business Front, and host of the Roanoke Real Estate Podcast. Here's the Frazier Hughes Experience.
Check 1 2, check 1 2 3. Let's go ahead and lower that microphone volume down just a little bit. Okay, we there? All right, good deal. Sorry about that. We just want to get the volume correct here. Thank you so much, guys. All right, hey, the Frazier Hughes Experience Realtor, your host of the Roanoke Real Estate Podcast, the only podcast in the city serving the valley up to the New River Valley and beyond. And I am, like the intro of the podcast said, licensed in the state of Virginia, and the only realtor within this past year to be voted Best of Roanoke by Roanoke Magazine Gold and top realtor in the New River Valley and Roanoke Valley by the Roanoke Times Magazine. So I'm really thankful. Thank you all for voting and supporting me. Being a realtor is a privilege, and each day it's so wonderful to do this. And I talk to so many realtors that some just get into this job to try to make more money. It sounds fun, and there's some people that are that are not salespeople that really don't know how to sell, and there's some really good sales folks that have been through hell and back to get to where they are today. I sold cars at a luxury car dealership a while back, and another guy I worked in a steel mill, and one of the realtors, a couple of them were cops, and just to get off of the pavement at the car lot and out of the steel mill and out of the police car and to be realtors is a lot of fun. I'm sure some of you can relate to these stories. I mean, one of our top realtors used to cut hair. She was like, "Hey, I'm going to get my real estate license." So it's a real privilege to be able to serve the people, serve the community, and put your best interest in our hands as realtors, and be ethical. Not all of the realtors are ethical out there, just FYI. Some of them don't know how to sell and don't know how to communicate. And hey, that's why there's only one experience, the Frazier Hughes Experience, Dale Carnegie trained. And I don't say that lightly to be cocky or rude. I'm just saying that not all people can sell. And in my previous sales jobs as a sales trainer, and being in car sales, you could tell who can and cannot sell. And a lot of it's about relationships, follow up, good communication. And I appreciate your time today as you're listening to the Roanoke Real Estate Podcast. You can follow me on Facebook, the Frazier Hughes Experience, Instagram, Best of Roanoke Realtor. I'm on LinkedIn, Frazier Hughes. There's only one. And if you want to be on the podcast, hey, go for it. So today, we've got a couple different topics that I wanted to discuss. The first one is tax assessment of your home. In the city of Roanoke, you'll get a little document in the mail that will tell you what your home is worth, what it's tax assessed for, and then also too, what we're going to talk about today is 5 tips to be more productive, some things that I've learned here recently, and pre-approval versus pre-qualification for someone when they're purchasing a house. So let's get into it. The first topic today we're discussing is tax assessment, and I've got a really good story for you. I found this really freaking interesting, is that I remember, listing only my second house. Tax assessment came in, and that was a big discussion with me and the seller, and she was like, "Well, this was tax assessment." And I thought to myself, I'm really not sure if this number is right. And then I went to go work for a real estate investment company where one of my managers, who has over 200 properties, said to me, "Hey, Frazier, how they figure out tax assessment?" And I was thinking to myself, I was like, "Well, how do they figure out tax assessment?" He said they just drive down the street and put a number on the house. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, is that really true? Is that really true that that's how tax assessment works? And he said, yeah, because, they don't know what upgrades you've done to your house. They don't know if you have granite countertops. They don't know if you have certain things in the home. They're just, judging off of what has sold in the neighborhood, which is, somewhat easy for people to do and get a guesstimate, but the numbers are not always correct. In the city of Roanoke, that's where we are broadcasting from, and I'm sure this is the same in a lot of other cities throughout the country. A single family home saw an 11% spike in property assessment. Now, while the home values have gone up, this means an increase in the assessment will raise your taxes too, but is the assessment right? And I write a column in the Valley Business Front. You can pick it up behind the Little Green Hive downtown. It's a really cool magazine, local articles, really awesome people. And on page 25 in the February edition, my column is the real estate assessment of your home correct? Maybe not. And how are properties appraised? According to the city of Roanoke, they use the sales comparison approach, and I found this on Roanoke.gov. They compare a property to similar properties that have sold recently, which require sales prices to be carefully analyzed to ensure a true and accurate picture. Example, was any property included in the sale? Multiple sales are then analyzed to arrive at a fair valuation of the property: size, quality, condition, location. Now, this can be thousands off, okay? They are not realtors, and I don't mean this in a rude way, but we are realtors, we are licensed, and just yesterday, an investor said, hey, can you run a CMA on this property? Now, a CMA is kind of similar to an appraisal done on your home by banks. By an appraiser that does it for the bank. By the way, if you're purchasing a home, an appraisal could cost you around $500 and some change. I can do a CMA of your home for free. And then what a realtor does do, and the difference between that and an appraisal, is that I'll try to pick out 2 to 3 similar homes in the neighborhood, and then I will look at them, the interiors if I can, and I'll throw them into the MLS, and it will punch out a data sheet based on square footage, rooms, and price range, and it will give me three different numbers: a low, medium, and high price. Tax assessment doesn't do that, by the way. An appraiser, when they appraise your house, they do look at comps. Sometimes the appraiser does contact me, comps, which is comparables, and they will say, hey, Frazier, what did you sell this house for, a couple months ago? I'm trying to get a good idea. They typically only go 6 months back unless it's a rural area, and they will go further. But a CMA of your house by a realtor will give you more of a true price rather than the tax assessment. Are you still with me here? So if I'm looking at what is sold in the neighborhood recently, using the MLS, which any realtor can do, and it can be tricky at times, you will get a really strong ballpark number: low, medium, and high. And you can get together with your client and say, hey, was this the number you're thinking? And everybody is on the same page. And when I go to list a house, the one thing to take into consideration is we can list it for $1 million, but is it going to sell for that? Are you ready to drop the price after a week or so if you don't see any movement, especially in a strong market? And if the price is really good, you should be having multiple offers, if not an offer on it within that week. So the tax assessment, they're not walking into the house. It's a lot different than the comparative market analysis. And they don't, like I said, know if it's got granite countertops, if you put in brand new floors. It's not like they're pulling permits to show that, hey, they just remodeled their bathroom. So it's somewhat of a guesstimate, just like Zillow. I know some people are hell-bent on the Zillow price. They're like, if this is what Zillow says. And you know what? Sometimes Zillow is right on the money, and a lot of times Zillow is not right on the money. And I want to go ahead and give you a story about tax assessment, okay? I think this is really going to shed some light on the topic and open your eyes up dramatically. Okay, so I sold 2 houses in the same neighborhood. I sold one house 2 years ago for $312,000. Now, the prices have gone up dramatically since then. The market is really strong. I don't see it crashing anytime soon, by the way. So don't listen to the doubters, the haters, the people that like to talk negatively. It's not going to happen. Everybody still wants to buy houses. It's not like they're going anywhere. The rates may go up a little bit, but the demand will not. So I sold this house 2 years ago for $312,000. Now the neighbor asked me, hey, Frazier, will you sell my house too? And I was like, absolutely. Being able to sell 2 homes in the same neighborhood back to back is a gift. So I list his house for 438, actually 445,000. Why did I list it for more? Well, it's got a 2-car garage, and it's got extra room in the basement that is finished, about double the square footage, But the 312 house, since I listed it, has an in-law suite that has a kitchen that has been put in. So you're thinking to yourself, 312, 438, 2 years apart. Okay, all right. So that 312 house today should be worth around at least over $400, maybe 410, 415. Remember, I just sold the neighbor's house for 438. Okay, so let's just be fair. Let's just say the house I sold for 312, I could sell it for 405 today, or 400, because I sold the neighbor's just 6 months ago for 438. 2-car garage, extra square footage. The 312 house now has a kitchen in the basement with the in-law suite. Well, the tax assessment just came in for the house I sold for 312 2 years ago, and guess what it was? $312,000. And I'm thinking, man, you're way off by like 80 to 90,000. So tax assessment is not always correct. Keep that in your back pocket in either Zillow. So that's why you definitely want to have a CMA performed by the comparative market analysis done by the Realtor. And this will give you a high price, a medium price, and a low price. And I like to sometimes go between the low and the medium, even though a lot of my sellers want to go higher because they want to try to get as much as they can, because I love to see multiple offers. I like to see 3, 4, 5, 10 offers roll in so people can fight for the house, and I can get the most money for my client. If not, you're just going to end up dropping that price later on down the road. So as you know, I'm a pretty busy guy, and I like to make the most out of my time so I can have fun and enjoy my life. I mean, I've got kids, I've got a family, and so I like to prioritize things. A lot of you know that I'm Dale Carnegie trained, a graduate of the Dale Carnegie course. In fact, leadership training for managers, their high impact presentations course, and then their sales advantage course, and I sold the courses too. That's why I took all the courses, because they said if you're going to sell them, you got to graduate from them. And Dale Carnegie has taught me a lot. And I wanted to go ahead and give you 5 things that will make you more productive in your work day. And I was just thinking about this. I've got a running clock in my head. When I went to work years ago by myself, I had to learn to put the phone to the side and really time block my schedule. And Dale Carnegie teaches time blocking. So we're going to do this. This is my first tip to you. Number 1 is time blocking. What are you going to do from 9 to 10? What are you going to do from 10 to 11? What are you going to do from 11 to 12? Make sure, that's tip number 1, time block. Make sure too you prioritize what's most important. For instance, I've got a list of clients in my head that are most important. The ones that are going to be most fruitful to me and making the most money I can, and that are hot, that are selling or buying this moment, they take top priority. People that are fooling around, kind of giving me ideas they may or may not want to sell, they stay on my radar, but they are not ranked in high priority. The people that are ranked in high priority are people that are giving me verbal communication back, texting back, good communication back. Those people that are in the trenches and want to sell or be sold, if that makes sense. Because you've got some folks that are just screwing around. They're like, well, I might sell my house, in 2035. So at that point, they go to the back seat. They're still on my radar, but I prioritize. I wrote down when I was writing this for the podcast, coffee and leads. Coffee is my priority in the morning. That's how I get my day started. And, not an ounce of time gets wasted in my day. I walk into Starbucks with my iPad while I'm waiting on my pour-over coffee. Yeah, I may sound like a snob, but hey, I don't waste any time. And if I don't have my iPad, I've got my phone and I'm checking my emails. I'm constantly texting folks. I'm not taking a break, staring out the window. So I'm getting the most I can out of my time to make sure I maximize my day so I can also free up my day if I need to. Tip number 3, what is your appointment? Setting appointments for buyers and sellers and anybody else in your life is crucial to sales success. The more appointments you have, the more opportunities you have to sell. But also, what is your appointment? I spoke to one of my favorite realtors here who has a team as well, and she said, Frazier, my appointment could be going to the gym. My appointment could be picking up my son from school. My appointment could be going out to dinner with my wife. So when I have appointments, those things are very important to me. So I will share this with others as well, just to make sure that, not share this with others, but I will tell my clients, hey, I've got an appointment, and that appointment could be something I'm doing for myself, going to get my hair cut, going to the gym. So tip number 4 is to make sure that you execute your time wisely when you are most efficient. I am most efficient in the morning from 9 to 12. It seems like mid-afternoon I fade away. I'm still firing on all cylinders, but I really love to contact my clients first thing in the morning. I'm feeling fresh, starting their day off. I want them to think about me, as soon as they get their day started and be fresh in their head. So that way we can talk in the morning if I need to. I'll follow up with you in the afternoon and make a note on my calendar. So what time of the day is best for you? My next tip, I think we've got 5 tips here. Maybe I'll just give you an extra one, is journaling. I like to journal every day when I can. Not every day can I, but I'd say 95% of my days I'm journaling. I'm writing how I'm feeling, what's motivating me, making a gratitude list, talking about my day, what I'm excited about, trying to get that spiritual energy circulating in my heart, my mind, and soul and body to get ready to rock and roll and face the day ahead of me with a positive attitude. The Frazier Hughes experience is all about staying positive and trying to see the good in every situation. I recently auditioned for a job, and I say audition because I also have a media background, and I did not get it. I did not get this role, and I was really excited about it, but I feel like if it's not meant to be, it's not to be. And that's the same thing with clients that are difficult to work with or don't work with you, or homes and things that can fall through. My last tip is going to be exercise and water. I try to exercise every day unless my body needs a break and I'm tired. But I'm exercising 5-6 days out of the week. And this keeps me refreshed, rejuvenated. It keeps my heart strong and my mind fresh as well. I feel relaxed. It's almost like, taking a drug. It is my drug. I don't like to drink or use alcohol or drugs. I don't like anything like that. But my working out, my exercising is my drug. And it helps me make better decisions. Now, if I'm not rested and I go to work out, especially if I wake up early in the morning, it can backfire and I can have anxiety. But working out really makes me feel stronger and just, so much more productive. Plus, I drink a gallon of water a day. And at first I didn't. I drink a half gallon. I just worked my way up there. So I drink a gallon and a half or more. I'm going to go ahead and drink some more right now for you. That requires a lot of peeing too. I'll be sitting in meetings. Hey, I got to go to the bathroom. I'll be showing a house. As soon as I get out of the car, I've got to go to the bathroom. And sometimes I'll be on these back roads and have to pull by, off to the side of the road and go behind a tree. But there are apps. There's an app you can download that will track your water if you're trying to increase that intake to stay fresh. All right, so the last topic on the podcast today, the Roanoke Real Estate Podcast, your host, the Frazier Hughes Experience, Realtor, is a pre-approval letter and a pre-qualification letter. If you're a realtor and you're making an offer on a house, you want to submit it with one of these letters from your client's lending institution. The lender can provide this letter. If it's a cash offer, then they will ask for proof of funds within typically like 5 business days. But that being said, I just got burnt on a transaction where I was the listing agent with a pre-qualification letter. So you can also pick up the phone and call the bank, call the lender, and do a brief interview about the client. But this is what the pre-qualification letter says. Based on the information provided at the time of interview regarding your income, employment, and financial position, the preliminary determination has been made that you qualify for the above described loan. A tri-merge credit report has been ordered and reveals that this borrower is eligible for financing. Additional information. This is not a commitment nor a guarantee of loan approval. Final determination of credit, property approval, or denial can only be made after a review of written verification of the information obtained at loan application and a satisfactory appraisal report. If any information contained in your loan application regarding income, employment, or financial situation should change, please contact your mortgage loan originator immediately. And this is a pre-qualification letter basically stating, they're going off what the barber said. Kind of like if you've got a Discover card and they merge your FICO score, or they look at your FICO score. These are ballpark numbers because this loan did not go through because they could not verify the buyer's income. The buyer was getting child support, but it was under the table. So verbally, they had told the lender this, and the lender was like, okay, cool. But then when they asked for the documentation, they were like, hey, this isn't cool. So the loan fell through. The other thing to take into consideration, too, is it wasn't the person's fault that was buying the house. It was technically the lender's because all of the due diligence hadn't taken place yet. And so, therefore, the buyer got to keep their earnest money deposit. Now, if the buyer for any means, hold on one second here. Hey there, I'm recording a podcast. Can I call you right back? I'm live. All right, thank you. So, anyways, if the buyer, if it's their fault and they won't provide documents or get cold feet, they're not cooperating, then they can definitely lose the earnest money deposit. I just had that happen with someone who wasn't cooperating, lied about their amount of money in their account. So pre-approval means that they have gone through underwriting. So when this house went back on the market after the funding fell through, we told the other lender, look, we'll accept this offer as long as it goes through underwriting and we have pre-approval and all documentation within 5 business days, which the lender can do. And so they made it happen. They looked at the bank stubs. They said, hey, you know what? This person can buy the house. So you don't want to get burnt on that pre-qualification letter. This doesn't always happen. It usually works out, but it can happen. And it's just something that you want to pay attention to when you're dealing with real estate transaction and you're looking at these folks. If they bring you an offer, if you're the one submitting an offer, and it's something that's really important to chat with your lender about too. Like, hey, am I really good to go for this loan? Because you may, think you are and you're not. And that's the last thing you want is, for things to fall through when you're sitting there 2 or 3 weeks into it, planning to move, getting ready to get into a house. You definitely don't want that to happen. So, hey, thanks for joining me today on the Roanoke Real Estate Podcast. Let's recap what we talked about. Tax assessment. Rewind this podcast is not correct on your house most of the time. Either is Zillow. Also, are you getting the most productivity out of your day? Tips to help you be more productive and live a better life. And then pre-approval versus pre-qualification, vice versa. What is the freaking difference? I'm your host of the Roanoke Real Estate Podcast, the Frazier Hughes Experienced Realtor. Thanks for joining me, and you can check out my publications in the Valley Business Front. Listen to the other podcasts. Some of them are very fruitful. I like to think they all are, and valuable. And you can find me on social media, on LinkedIn, Frazier Hughes, Instagram, Best of Roanoke Realtor, and the Frazier Hughes Experienced Realtor on Facebook. Stay positive, and when it comes to selling your home in the Valley, Thanks for thinking about me. And don't forget, the experience is real.
You've been listening to the Roanoke Real Estate Podcast with your host, the Frazier Hughes Experienced Realtor, voted best in the Valley by Roanoke Magazine and the Roanoke Times. Sell your home with the Frazier Hughes Experience. Stay positive, and don't forget, the experience is real.